While I was asleep, he emptied out our entire home. All of it gone. And it all traced back to one reckless mistake I made at an office party. Hi everyone, welcome back. If you've ever had one bad decision snowball into losing everything you cared about, this story will feel painfully familiar. My name is Natalie, I'm 29. Not long ago, I thought I had the life I'd always wanted. I was married to Lucas, 31, and for 2 years we were building something beautiful together. A warm home, a hopeful future, and what I believed were unshakable dreams. But everything collapsed in a way I never could have imagined. That morning, the second I opened my eyes, I knew something was wrong. The house that had once been filled with love and laughter was eerily empty. Furniture, appliances, even our framed pictures gone. My first thought was that we'd been robbed. But the doors were locked, nothing was broken. Then I saw it, the note sitting on the kitchen counter. Lucas's handwriting was unmistakable. Happy New Year, Natalie. I hope this fresh start treats you better than I did. I sank into a chair, heart racing, staring at those words. The man who had once stood beside me through everything had vanished. No warning. No goodbye. Let me take you back. 3 years earlier, I'd just started an internship at a mid-sized consulting firm. That's where I met Lucas. He was a project supervisor, smart, respected, and quietly confident in a way that drew people in. At first, I tried to keep things professional, but chemistry doesn't stay hidden forever. After working together on a few projects, we started dating. 8 whirlwind months later, he proposed during a snowy weekend in the mountains. Just the two of us and a love that felt endless. After the wedding, life picked up speed. Lucas was offered a position at a competing firm, nearly double his salary. He took it. We bought a bigger house in the suburbs and started sketching out the life we wanted: kids, travel, renovations. My own career was advancing too, but with it came a heavier workload. I began bringing work home, staying up late, and leaning on wine to cope. What began as one glass in the evenings turned into polishing off the bottle. Lucas noticed. At first, he approached it gently, then more firmly. I brushed him off, insisting I was fine. But I wasn't. It escalated until one night, I blacked out completely. That was my wake-up call. I checked myself into rehab and stepped away from work for 6 months. It was the hardest fight of my life. Through it all, Lucas never left my side. He never once threatened to walk away. That was the kind of man he was. When I eventually returned to the office, I was placed under a new manager, Ethan Carter. Mid-40s, sharp, charismatic, the kind of person who lit up a room. Lucas didn't like him from the start. He said Ethan was manipulative and warned me to be cautious. I dismissed it as jealousy. To me, Ethan seemed competent, even inspiring. When a colleague went on maternity leave, I found myself working even longer hours with him. I was often the last one in the office. The late-night emails, the text exchanges, they didn't go unnoticed. Lucas pointed out how glued I was to my phone, constantly messaging Ethan. I brushed it off, insisting it was all work. He wasn't convinced. One evening, after an argument, I snapped and told Lucas he needed to trust me or stop suffocating me. Looking back, that's when the cracks really began to show. Soon after, Ethan started sharing more personal things about his own life. One night, when the office was empty, he brought me coffee and asked how I was holding up. The dam broke. I told him about my struggles with Lucas, the guilt I carried, how hard it was to keep pretending everything was fine. He listened quietly. And then I made the biggest mistake of my life. In a moment of raw emotion, I hugged him. And then I kissed him. It wasn't romantic. It was messy, confused, and something I regretted instantly. We pulled away, shame written on both our faces. We swore to forget it ever happened and move forward professionally. But ignoring it didn't erase the damage. People at work began to notice the closeness. The laughter, the body language, it all became gossip. And of course, it got back to Lucas. One evening, he confronted me, demanded the truth. I lied. I told him it was just rumors, nothing more. I didn't tell him about the kiss. I thought if I buried it deep enough, maybe I could repair things. By December, I was desperate to make things right. I cooked his favorite dinner, planned a quiet night at home, and promised I'd switch teams once the project was over. Lucas seemed to soften. We agreed to start fresh in the new year. Then came the company's New Year's Eve party. Ethan suggested Lucas join us, thinking it might help ease the tension. I agreed, hoping it would finally put his doubts to rest. That night, drinks flowed freely. I hadn't touched alcohol in over a year, but I told myself, just one glass. That one glass became 5. Lucas was upset. I waved him off, slurring, "It's New Year's." I ended up seated between him and Ethan. After that, everything's a blur. The next morning, I woke to silence. And emptiness. Lucas was gone. Everything was gone. I called him, no answer. I read and reread his note, trying to make sense of it. Still reeling, I messaged Ethan, asking to meet. At a cafe, he filled in the missing pieces. Lucas had tried to stop me from drinking more. I fought him on it. We argued loudly. Then, at midnight, I toasted with Ethan, hugged him tightly, and kissed him again. This time, it wasn't hidden. Lucas saw everything. And he walked away. I sat there frozen, tears pouring down my face. I had destroyed the one relationship that had survived every storm, all for a fleeting, reckless moment. Now, months later, I sit alone in a small apartment. The walls are bare, the silence overwhelming. Lucas hasn't reached out. I don't think he ever will. I'm sober again, but the emptiness isn't just from cutting alcohol. It's from losing the only man who stayed beside me when no one else would. Trust is fragile. Sometimes it's not the act of betrayal that ends a relationship, but the lies, the distance, and the reckless choices we excuse in moments of pain. If someone chooses to love you at your lowest, don't give them a reason to doubt you at your best.